the optics of what happened are awful for your industry. And I know you're uncomfortable sitting before us, but you know what's more uncomfortable? When you have friends that travel your airline and they have a lousy flight, you jerk them around, you send them, they miss the flight, and then they call you up. You say, what are you going to do about it? These are lifelong friends. And last summer, I have friends of mine that travel to Europe out of Newark, which I represent part of it. And 9:30, they were supposed to take off. 1:30, they canceled the flights, put them in a hotel, no luggage. Next day, you send them to the wrong city. They had to get a van to go and travel to meet the schedule that they had in Europe. Now, I had to listen to all that from my friend. What are you going to do about it? My question to you is, are you too big to manage your industry? Have you grown so big that you can manage? I mean, you're moving 186 million customers a day. Do you consider yourself too big to manage? Because I was listening to the former Virgin Air, Richard Branson, and one of the things that he suggested is that this industry is getting out of control, just getting too big to manage.
I think the value of the large footprint that we and other airlines on this table have is the ability to really connect customers to all parts of the world through our various network. The large
But you
scale
can do that with smaller airlines and still, not just one big, humongous airline.
With all due respect, sir, it's a little bit more difficult than that. The handoffs that we do have today can be difficult and are continuing another concern that we have of ours. But I think the large scale certainly provides and allows for some more freedom of choice, but also the complexity is something that we have to better manage. We are an organization around policies and procedures on safety that work very well, but again, to your point, it's important that we localize that customer service, not in a broad perspective. And every one of our stations, every one of our folks are very keen and focused on that.
Mr. Kirby, I assume you're responsible for the size of the seats in your airline?
I can certainly answer questions about
Well, I would tell you to consider that people are getting larger in America, and the idea of making the seats smaller is not safe.
Well, sir,
You may think that 3 minutes. I don't think I can make it out of a plane in 3 minutes.
Safety is our #1 concern at United Airlines, and we're focused on safety. As to seat size, we are trying to offer our customers more choice, and
Well, that brings me to another question. Every time you want to do something, you got to pay extra. I mean, if you want a window with an aisle, you got to pay extra. If you want a little extra seat in the front, you want extra.
Yes,
I
sir.
know you're saying that has to do with the price of the ticket and everything else, but pretty soon you're going to charge to use the restrooms.
Sir, we're never going to do that, but it does have to
You're
do.
not going to do that,
We're not going to do that, but it does have to do with the price of the ticket. It costs the same to fly an airplane whether you have 150 seats or 138 seats on board, essentially the same. And if you take 12 seats off to create more room on the airplane, you're going to have to charge more.
If you take up more room. Mr. McGee, can you respond to that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Congressman, today we've heard an awful lot about pricing, and we hear this sort of charge over and over again that prices are lower than ever when adjusted for inflation. We've heard it several times today. The fact is that that obscures several key things. One, of course, is the fees, as you pointed out. Years ago, we didn't pay to sit by a window. We didn't pay to bring a bag on, et cetera.
Do we have any idea how many fees the companies charge?
We see that every day they are not only higher and higher fees, but new fees. And now, for the first time, admittedly,
the airlines are making money. It's not as if the...
No question about that. There's no question they're making money. There's no question that that the price of fuel has gone down. So you have apples to apples, oranges comparisons there. But in addition, even just within a given route, the fluctuation in fares is so great. We have seen time and time again, the DOT puts out a quarterly airfare report 4 times a year that shows where there's competition from low-cost carriers, from Spirit, from JetBlue, et cetera, fares go down. In fact, it was even, as Mr. Jordan well knows, the DOT called it the Southwest effect to address this back in the 1990s. When there is no low-fare competition and the majors are competing with each other or not competing with anyone effectively in many markets, fares the disproportion, when we talk about average fares, the disproportionate rate between the lowest and the highest is so great that passengers all over the country are getting gouged. There is no competition. If you would allow, if I had a moment, I can just tell you, this is on a low-cost carrier, mind you, coming here yesterday. I received the invitation last Wednesday, and flying from Connecticut, where I live, I went on last Tuesday night at midnight, 43 minutes after midnight. I found a fare of $398.40. Unfortunately, my credit card had a problem, which we don't need to get into today, but I'm a consumer advocate, not an airline executive. I went back on 7 hours and 36 minutes later. That price was now $648.40 on a low-cost carrier. That's $250. That's a 61% increase in 7 hours and 36 minutes. There aren't too many businesses that charge such a wide variance in price for the exact same product. Luckily, my credit card worked the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry it took so long.
Thank you, Mr. Sam Graves.